Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ask ServiceMonster show, where you've got questions about your service business, and we've got your answers. Today's question comes from Blake. He writes that he's been dealing with a problem client. It's keeping him up late at night. He feels just really bad about the whole experience. He wants to know, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with this situation? So we're gonna break that down today. Dealing with problem clients, firing clients, maybe before the job even begins, and what to do with people who are just plain nasty. Service providers, hey, little secret, you can say no to a job. You can also tell a client to go pound sand. You might want to do it a little better than that, and we'll explain the way you can break that down here in a minute, but just know that's within your right. You can say, no, this job isn't for me, even if the price is right. And when you're first getting started, a single owner operator, passing up work it's painful. It can be very painful. But if you know you're dealing with a client who's just going to be an absolute nightmare as you move forward on the project, it's going to save you countless times, resources, and emotional pain. So the first thing, almost always, just like last week, be empathetic. So the first thing we want to do is assess the situation. Was it something that the company did? Was it something that you did personally or one of your staff did to cause friction with this client? Always assume first that the problem was with something that you did. Okay, so you've assessed the situation, you realize it's not really that big of a deal. The client is making it a huge issue over nothing. Now what do you do? Again, is this a single isolated incident, or is this something that repeats often? If it's a single isolated incident, did Mrs. Jones's cat die the night before? Is she having emotional distress? Are there things going on with her life that you have no idea what's going on? So again, that empathetic approach is always a good place to start. Now, a certain percentage of the population are just plain asshats. There's just no way around it. They are negative people. They hate their lives. They want to make everyone else's lives miserable, and they will find any excuse to get angry. You want to avoid these people like the plague. Luckily, they don't represent a huge swath of the population, but there are enough out there that as you scale your business, you will run into them. I won't say a fairly regular basis, but certainly more often than you would like. ServiceMonster, we put customers on the chopping block probably about once a year that they'll escalate to my office and I'll have to have a conversation. Now, I find it fairly difficult to fire a client. Not because I say you're fired. I don't find that part difficult. I try to do it very tactfully, but usually what happens is they recognize their behavior and then they apologize, promise they'll do better next time, and then they seriously want to stay with the company. And sometimes you just let them through, and then the staff will hate you when they blow up again, and then you have the conversation and then they go. It's just there's certain people that you're just not going to be able to work with. So kind of breaking that down, it's okay to walk away from a job, and it's okay to fire a client before they even begin. Someone sends you an email and says, hey, do you do all these things, and like nitpicking, being helicopter on your service, like that there's a warning flag here. Do I really want to go after this client because they're just going to nitpick every single thing that we did? If you can figure out beforehand, that's great. After the cause, of course, you just got to deal with it. Now, some of the times, you might fire a client or think about firing a client simply because they don't fit inside your business model. Obviously, if you provide HVAC services and someone calls you up for cat cleaning, you can't service that client. That's not even firing a client, that's just not taking it in the first place. Other examples might not be so transparent. If you're, let's say, a window cleaner and you do Christmas lights on the side during the holiday season and they want you to do them for the 4th of July, well, that's kind of your busy season for getting things done. You really want to take time out. Like, I don't know, maybe that's a bad example, but you get the idea. Sometimes the model just doesn't fit. Pricing. As you grow and as you realize, you should be charging a decent price for the products and services that you offer in order to be profitable and grow your business and pay the proper taxes and fees and licenses and registrations and all that stuff. Maybe some of the clients that you were servicing years and years ago don't fit within your business model anymore. And so you have to call them up and say, look, I've got to raise prices, or, maybe there's another provider that will work better for you, another up-and-comer that will do it for the cost I was doing it for before. I've got to run a business, and over time I just found that I've got to have a minimum charge in order to make this thing work. So there's a handful of reasons, not just the asshat, that you might want to age out of a client. And then having that conversation is difficult. So how do you do it? The first thing I always say is, honestly, in this case, might not be the best policy. You don't want to go to Mr. Jones and say, look, dude, you're a dick and I hate working with you. You make my life miserable and I want nothing to do with you. That's not that's not really a way that you should approach that. A better approach, a more common approach, is just basically saying as little as possible, but establishing that maybe it would be better for them to go find another vendor. And you can do that tactfully, although it is difficult because, people who get angry often, they're typically have been fired before, so they know what that tastes like. And so they'll are you firing me? Do you not want my business anymore? And then you got to be a little bit more frank, which is tough. At that point, then yeah, be a little honest. Just don't be, I find it difficult to work with you. I understand where you're coming from, but I just don't think I can serve you. So you can take it that one next step further. Now, obviously we have clients, you have clients, every once in a while, they're just not gonna behave properly and you gotta let them go. Be empathetic, build a confidence in your ability to say no, which is an attractive feature, and try to model your business to attract the clients that you actually wanna work with, and fire gently. That's it, guys. Simple as that. Until next time, subscribe to our YouTube channel, go check out the demo, and give us a call.